Today's shave, we're going to use this That Darn Rob brush, and I've had it pre-soaking now for about 4 minutes. I'll tell you why in just a second. The blade we're using today is my Nacet that has gone quite a ways. 50 there, plus 6. So this will be use number 107. I'm trying a new soap to me. This is a good soap base from Cold River Soap Works. This is their Sandalwood scent. I'm a big Sandalwood fan if it's an authentic Sandalwood. If it's not, so often a soap will have the Sandalwood scent. The name will be Sandalwood, but then it'll be overwhelmed by perfume type additions or sweetness that makes it really hard to even find the Sandalwood. And I'm fine with that. But my preference would be that they not call it Sandalwood. They call it something else, whatever the dominant thing is. So that's just my little soapbox done with that. So it's new to me. It's a great soap. It works really well. I wish that they would put this is cheaper to manufacture this one lid, and then put the sticker on the bottom with the different scents, but it makes it a little harder than a lot of other soaps to find it in your inventory. All right, and the razor we're going to use is my Sheraton, and yesterday for this same blade I used my Piccolo from Fanchurian, and it didn't do quite as good of a job cutting these hairs here. So I'm curious if the Sheraton will pick up the slack, because it's done that in the past and do just a little bit better. All right, so this brush has been soaking for about 8 minutes, I think. No, 9, about 9 minutes. It's longer than I usually do, but the reason is this one is supposed to kind of be giving me really soft tips. Shaking the water out, and the write-up online says that it often will gel and give you gel tips, which are really soft. But I believe that it's not all that soft on my face for the first pass. It might be my imagination, but this knot may be I'm going to load for 30 seconds. This knot may be getting softer as the shave progresses. I believe that I'm getting softer tips on the third pass, and so I decided to soak it a little bit longer today and see if something changes. 8 more seconds. Can't remember what this particular soap likes, but 30 seconds is usually a very safe bet for most soaps. At least most of the artisan type soaps like this. All right, I've already soaked my face. I have hard water as usual, lather bowl. My water is currently cold because it's the winter time. So let's see with the, I believe if you have a brush, a Badger brush that has gel tips, then I believe those tips absorb water, unlike a lot of Badger brushes where the tips don't gel. They don't really absorb water as much, not nearly as much as Boars do. So if it's one that gels, then maybe the prickliness that I've kind of experienced in this brush has been because I soak for a very short amount of time, just a few minutes. So I wonder if this brush if it's got gel tips, if it needs to be soaked for longer to get those soft tips to kind of come out. Man, this smells good. This is a nice sandalwood scent. I don't even know if it's still made. Nice and authentic. It kind of smelled a little nutty. A good sandalwood, but just with a slight nutty bent. And just with the limited water that was in the brush, I kind of got this early, thick lather here. So we turn to our trusty medicine dropper. I want to put in 1 teaspoon of water and slowly mix until it starts to combine pretty well. Cold River is a company that you see on the sale pages every once in a while. I rarely see them on the set of the day pages, comments and posts. But their base is really good, and I believe the Select line that they have is what I've enjoyed. I believe they have a Glide line as well. Don't really know too much the differences. And now, as you see, the lather's starting to smooth out. Let's take a little sample here. Oh, nice cushion there. And still kind of slick. Slippery in a wet kind of way between my fingers, easily letting me feel my fingerprint ridges. And so this may be as far as this guy needs to go in terms of water. Just going to make sure that it's integrated properly. I think there'll be enough to do the job today. Let's try it out. I can always add more water afterwards. Okay, I'm going to splash the face. Alright, let's hope this nice scent is also one that's strong enough to let me enjoy it during the shave. I believe these bristle tips are much more comfortable. How about that? Also, the soap is kind of dying. Maybe this particular soap needs a little bit longer load time. Doesn't really look like it's too dry, so I don't think adding water to it is going to change things. It's not, as I move the brush along my throat here in a big flat section, I'm not seeing any clumping. So that tells me that it's probably not a case of me not hydrating it enough. Wow. So it's a great scent, but it's not very strong. Okay. Let's even out the layer here. You don't have to have a super thick lather to have it be protective and slick. All right, here we go. See how the Sheraton does. with a blade on its 107th shave. This is comfortable, it's not tugging. You can hear hair cutting. Okay, it's tugging to a small degree, but any guy with a set between his legs is not going to have a problem with this level of tugging. And right here on this, in my neck, it's not tugging at all. Maybe my cheeks were a little bit more dense in terms of hair, maybe. Just feels like a good shave. Sometimes when there are razors and blade combinations that you can use, and they're so smooth and efficient that you make the statement, I didn't even know there was a blade in there. But then there's, and that's fine, that's great. Maybe some guys want to achieve that, but I don't know. Sometimes I think there's a really good point to shaving and have it feel like you're shaving. Not yanking you around and tugging and being all harsh, but just a little bit of a feel to let you know what you're doing. All right, so second pass, I did a rinse. Oh, got a good whiff of that sandalwood right there. That's nice. So let's just apply this and smell as I go, see what kind of strength it's giving me. Say maybe 3 out of 10. Not that strong. Almost not really part of the shave, but it does step in every once in a while and let you know it's there. 2 is pretty much not really part of the shave. You can smell it. To me, at least, this is kind of my gauge. Not really part of the shave, but you can smell it. 1 is not part of the shave, but you can kind of get a little whiff of it if you really work hard. So yeah, this is a little too soft, but at least it's an authentic sandalwood that I particularly enjoy. All right. Not getting tons of glide from this. Maybe because it's, I didn't quite load enough soap. So I'm kind of having to stretch it. Yeah, nice cut. Second pass there. Rinse. Now that was a very different rinse than the previous one. The previous one had a little bit of slickness. This one, lots. It felt luxurious, very enjoyable as I felt my face with and then just kind of did the rinse thing. And sometimes my face does that because I've got oily skin, and that oil probably combines with a lather and weakens it just a little bit on that first pass. If I did a pre-shave routine, it might help that, but I don't care. All right, some soaps do exactly this. They start off a little bit not as good, but then once those oils are gone, then they do really well. Some of them can power through the oils easily from the beginning. I don't think it's a weakness in the soap, it's just the nature of it. Whatever attributes. Just part of the chemical makeup of the soap. Pretty thin layer, but it'll be all right. It won't be as creamy and nice as I might have hoped it would be, but I don't really feel like, and I could go back to the tub, get a little bit more soap on the brush. Then you got to start the whole mixing process all over again. So wow, this one only took a teaspoon of water for 30 seconds of loading. But it seems about right because this seems a little bit lower in quantity than I usually get. And so I think I'd probably bump it up to 40 seconds of loading. And that might also mean that I have to bump up the water just a hair. So nice to have a company make a pretty good sandalwood that's authentic. On the third pass, let's see if I can kind of... Man, there's some hairs right there that just won't get cut. I think I finally got them. And there we go. That might be it. Okay, I believe I made some sense out of this. This soap is a lot more firm. I mean, I'm having trouble making a dent in it. I can make one if I really press hard. It's a really, really hard soap. It may even, I mean, I don't know if you'd even call it a crope. I guess you might, but it's right on that line between a hard soap and a crope. I don't think it's triple milled. It might be, but I don't think so. And that's why 30 seconds wasn't long enough. Because the harder the soap, sometimes the longer the load time, which is great. And here's why. Usually that means that the soap is going to give you more uses per ounce or gram or however you like to measure. So that's pretty cool, I think. Also, the cleaning the soap from around the threads here. Also, the harder the soap, the longer it's going to last you, generally speaking, in your inventory. The softer ones are more likely, I think, to go bad a little quicker. So, very nice. Does it mention? It's a tallow and a lanolin. So, it doesn't mention being triple milled, so it might not be. But yeah, I'm impressed with that. Do 40-second load next time, and have probably about the right amount of lather. So this is how much I had left, just a tiny bit. I could have definitely done my under the neck pass that I do after my third pass, but I don't think. No, actually, I do need to do it. I thought I got some pretty good, it's a pretty good cut, it's pretty good shave, but let's just splash just a little water right there. Do a little touch-up pass right there and see if we can't do better. I mean, that just may be as good as this blade can do since it's so old. Because these hairs just seem to lay down on my neck, and really kind of hard to get them because I can't really go against the grain on my neck without stirring up some bunch of cuts, irritation. Just kind of coming at it from different angles, carefully with a light, very light touch. Well, that sure looks good from here. But I declare, sometimes it looks good at this point, but by the time I towel off and get the sheen off my face, some of the hairs are a little longer than I was thinking. And that's a good cut. That took a little extra work, but some concentrated shaving on the third pass, and then a touch up using some very strategic directional approaches there, but a nice above average cut for me with a 107 use blade. How about that? So yeah, the Sheraton seems to be the razor for me to go with for my skin at this age. If you have a more mild razor and you're trying to make blades go a long way, like 100 uses or something, you may be out of luck, because I think the geometry just needs to change on your razor to accommodate for the dulling blade. And if it gets usually if it gets more aggressive with a certain kind of geometry that the Piccolo has and the Sheraton have, they both have this terrific. Both of these are actually pretty smooth razors, but something about the geometry just makes them work really well with this old blade. But I've heard other people give the similar reports of the more aggressive razors being the ones that you generally will need to switch to when you get high in uses. So if you can't go super far with a mild razor, then don't sweat it. Besides, blades are cheap. I'm just having fun seeing how long this Nacet's going to go for. I don't know that I'm going to take every blade that I have this far, but this is my first one going over 100, and so I'm just going to see what happens. So we talked about this brush earlier and how this Fanchurian knot from That Darn Rob, the write-up says it will gel. Well, we might be watching it gel at this very moment. I noticed the last time I shaved, this patch of hair right over here looked like it was kind of gelling, right in there. Everywhere else you can see the bristles and the tips, and it's really easy to see that spot because it's whiter right in there. I don't know if you can make it out in the camera, but it could be that is the start of this brush gelling, and so we'll see what happens. Wouldn't that be interesting if we could kind of see it? I had one brush to gel up on me, and it was after the second use. It just happened pretty quickly. This one seems to be taking a little bit longer, if in fact that's what's going on. And then we'll see what happens after it gels. No doubt I imagine it won't be prickly anymore, so that might be cool. But sometimes I have not liked gel tips. I don't really like rubbing my faces with little tiny sponges. I want it to be the light wisp of the hair tip. So we'll see. It'll be neat to watch that progress. Put that up here in my shelf. For those of you who care, this soap seems to have pretty nice post-shave qualities. And of course it did mention some of those. Kokum and shea butter are part of it, and so I bet that's what's going on. It doesn't really matter to me, because as long as I throw on a balm, I'm fine. I've got oily skin. Shave feels great, no irritation at all. Very nice that way. Let's pick out a post-shave product. Well, it didn't take me too long to land on Sandalwood. This is a balm from Lather and Wood, and I never hear anybody use this product on a lot of the Reddit groups and things like that. They make a soap as well, and I got really good customer service from them. when I interacted with them. I got this back in the early days when I didn't know about all the forums. All I knew was the Amazon comment sections. And Amazon is not a very good place to get good information regarding what balms and soaps are good. I mean, if you find the overwhelming majority and lots of comments, then that's probably a good, because I mean, at one point Bear Stearns Man was on Amazon. And so if you find a lot of comments to the good, then you stand a better chance of getting something reasonable. And it turns out this is a good buy. It has a similar and very authentic, enjoyable, to me, sandalwood scent. All right, so that's a pretty good soap. I'm happy with that. It's a hard one. I'm happy about that too. Lasts a long time in my inventory because I have a lot of soaps, and so I just enjoy being able to switch around, use a different soap so often, just pick whatever I feel like that day. And I like the fact that all these soaps are going to last for a long time. I wouldn't have as big of a collection if I knew that these guys were going to mold or mildew or go rancid, after a fairly short amount of time. So this is a good one. I can't wait to use it next time and throw in another 10 seconds of loading or something like that to get more soap there and have a better base. I believe I tuned it in just right in terms of dialing it in. I believe I got it just right for how much soap I had. It was a little deceptive because I was looking at the bowl with the amount that I had, and I was like, I'm going to need more than that. But my fingers I listened to my fingers more, and I'm glad I did because I could have easily overwatered that. All right, enough of that. Blade's doing great. I mean, not great, but this patch with some work was trimmed nicely and cut really well. Just a couple of little hairs there. I think, really very few. Actually, I'm going to have to just say there's so few that I think all I see is the tips and dots that are on the tips of the hairs instead of any length on any of them, and that's really above average for me. So, excellent. So the Sheraton reigns supreme in terms of this old blade. It's just with the geometry, it's just a better match for me and my skin type and hair type and all that. I believe I did detect that the brush was softer on the first pass than it has been in subsequent first passes. So I'm gonna soak it next time for a little bit longer than just 9 minutes. We'll see what happens. All right, we're good. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. Hope there was something in this shave for you. Take care and good night.